Hello, this is Princess Whoosh, and today we're talking about how to build tiny houses in The Sims 4. So the new Tiny Living Stuff Pack is out, which is really excellent. I've seen some mixed reviews, but I really like what it brings to the game. I especially like the tile counting feature and the new perks for having very small houses, because that is mostly what I build, to be honest, in The Sims 4, although with the new constraints they are a little bit smaller than my usual, but that's exciting. Right, so let's crack on. What is step number 1 when building a tiny house? The first thing you should think about before you start any building is where you want to put your tiny house. Picking a lot is a big part of the process. Some lots are better than others for tiny houses, and you really need to pay attention to all the neighborhood objects, the type of trees, the surrounding houses, if you would like something that will actually blend in to the surrounding environment. This is the first tiny house I built after the pack came out. It's one that is in Brindleton Bay, and I just thought the lot was perfect for a tiny house because it didn't have anything too close to it to make it look smaller. It has this lovely beach bit, and all the trees around it are really nice, and you can blend it in with its surroundings. The diagonal was a bit of a challenge, but it proved pretty fun, and it's quite a functional house, so yay. This is another really good lot in Windenburg. It's on one of the islands. It's surrounded by trees, and there's no path or roadways leading up to it to make it awkward to build. I think this would be a really good place for a tiny house. If you just surrounded it with a few more trees, maybe made it match the two nearby houses. They've got quite a modern style. And there's a lovely fishing spot nearby, so if you want to do that as a career, it would be perfect for this kind of lot. Another good one would be the Caravan Trailer Park in Strangerville. I couldn't believe how big this lot was when I applied the Tiny Living square counting thing. It's actually like a medium lot, even though it's a teeny little trailer. That's ridiculous. But you could build something smaller. You've got to remember that patio counts as squares as well, but there's definitely a good opportunity to build some sort of teeny tiny little caravan home on this little tiny lot as well. Here's another lot I really like. It's not the smallest lot, but because most of it extends into the sea, it would be ideal for having a tiny home. It's on Sulani, obviously, and if you did it in the style of the nearby area, I think it would look really cool. And you've got all that oceanfront bit there that you could expand into without building walls or a house. And if you're someone who likes using mods, you could even think about tiny houses in Salvadora or Granite Falls. I thought this would be a perfect little lot for a tiny house. It's currently a rental home, but that would be cool if that was something that you liked to do as well. Do it in the Salvadoran style. So those were some lots I thought would make really good places for tiny houses, but equally there are some lots that I think would make really bad places for tiny houses. I've got a few of those to highlight as well, so let's have a little look. So this is a lot in Willow Creek. It's actually quite small, but I think it'd be a really bad place for a tiny house. All the surrounding buildings are really, really big, and it's also really exposed and on that corner, so unless you're really good at building or you're going to do something tall and weird, I think this would be one to avoid. Another example of lots I would avoid are ones where the surroundings are really heavily baked in. So this is a park, but everything around it is clearly also a park, so it would be really hard to make this look like a good residential space. It's going to always just look like you kind of dumped a house in the middle of a park. So yeah, avoid ones with really strong neighborhood theming. And finally, I'd probably recommend not building on lots where there's really strong theming between the houses and the neighborhood. For example, in the university pack, all the houses that are in the background all match the houses that are on the lots. Unless you can do something really amazing with these lots, you're going to struggle to make it look very cohesive, and it's going to look a bit of an eyesore. Now, I'm not saying you can't build in these lots, but personally these are ones I would choose not to build in because I don't think I'm talented enough or maybe creative enough to be able to figure out how to make it look right. So that's just my thoughts, but feel free to do what you want to do. If you've got a really good idea for one of those lots that you want to do, go for it. Get creative, but personally I find them a little bit difficult to work with. This is the lot I chose to do over in the end. This is a lot in Windenburg. It's on top of this weird little hill, which I think will be really good for a tiny home. It's got that sort of stage presence, and the road leads right up to the left, which looks terrible on this build, but will look really good if I build the house quite far to the left and blend it in with some trees. So I thought this would be a good choice to do a build on. Now, for this location, I had a couple of options. The original house on the lot is in quite a Tudor style, so I could have done something with the Tudor style, with the white walls, with all the wood beams and things like that. But because it's quite far away from any of the nearest houses, and it's a neighbourhood with a castle type objecty bit in it, and Windenburg's quite castle-y anyway, I figured I could do something a bit castle-y or a bit churchy. So I did a little bit of research. I went on Google, I had a look at some existing buildings, and I took some ideas from the ones I liked the most. I made a decision not to directly build anything I saw on Google because it's not very creative, it's just a bit boring. So I took some elements from the ones that I liked and thought about how I would incorporate them into my build. Right, so once you've done your research, it's time to start building. I wouldn't recommend clicking the build icon from the neighbourhood map to start your build. I'd recommend making a sim, putting them in the lot and building from there, just because tiny houses are weird and you need to check that everything that you build works with a sim. So here's my demo sim from the neighbourhood. Let's move her in, let's bulldoze the lot, and let's get ready to start building. And it's the depths of winter, the absolute worst time to do your building. So I realise this is something that wouldn't happen if you click build mode from the neighbourhood, but really we do need to be able to test our lot to make sure everything's working. So what I would recommend doing is opening up the cheats bar and basically slapping down some seasons cheats to make sure that you have nice intense sunshine to check what your build actually looks like instead of a big layer of snow. If you've got the new pack, you're going to want to turn on the tiny home residential lot option because it'll tell you how big everything is. As you can see there, that's about the size of a 100 lot. It's actually a 99 lot. There we go, 100 lot. And also I can show you what a 64 looks like. It's not that big, and that's the medium size. So as you can see, this is a pretty small lot. You're not getting a lot of build space, and being the forever contrarian I am, I feel like I have to build the smallest lot, which is this size here. If we just wait a sec, yep, there we go. That size there, which is absolutely tiny. There's a reason they call it a micro home. So what I'm going to start doing here is I'm going to start trying to shape my home. There was some of them that had like a kind of cross shape, a bit like a church, so I was quite inspired by that. So I was going to lay that down as the floor plan, and I'm going to try and put up a tower as well, which might be a bit ambitious for a tiny home, but we're going to give it a go. Yeah, this was crazy ambitious. As you can see, I'm about 1,000,000 tiles over what I actually need, so we're definitely going to have to shrink this down a little bit. If you're happy with a medium home, there's a lot more you can do, but if you're really going for the micro home challenge, it is quite restrictive. It doesn't give you a lot of space to work with. I like the shape, but I unfortunately don't think I'm going to be able to keep everything if I'm really sticking to the micro home spec. Right, so a few more chops and changes and it's nearly there. It's still a little bit too big, so I decided to, very unconventionally, just chop some of the bottom floor out. Just took 2 tiles back there. Looks like a spanner or something, but it's fine, we'll do something cool with it. A little more finagling later and I've got something that pretty much works and is about the right size. I'm gonna slap a octagonal roof on this, mess with the edges. Annoyingly, it seems to be some sort of festival or something going on because all the edges of my houses are covered in flags. I didn't really want that while I was building, but I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it very easily, so I just left it. But yeah, there's the basic shell for what we are building. Now, because it's quite a churchy looking building, I tried to pick out some slightly churchy looking windows. There's quite a lot of Strangerville ones that have a very arched look. There's some in the vampires pack. But I tried out a few things, tried to see how it would look, tried to figure out the best positioning, because you do need some blank walls in a tiny home for things like bathrooms and showers and things that would look weird on windows. So I do try to think of where my blank space is going to be and where my window space is going to be, just so I can lay it out properly inside. One big problem I do tend to have when I build houses is I do focus more on the shape of the exterior, and it makes decorating the interior very hard. But I don't want my Sims to live in really boring looking boxes. So already you can probably ascertain this is going to be a very challenging house to lay out. And let me tell you, it does not disappoint in that regard. I knew building such a weird build, I was going to have to put outside stairs, which to be honest, I absolutely loathe. But meeting that 32 tile requirement was not going to happen if I put a staircase in there. There was no way I could get everything in that I needed, so I knew I was going to have to put some stairs up the back. So here you can see I've added the roofs, I've added some awnings, I've made the windows match, cheeky door, trying out some columns which I ended up not liking very much. But yeah, lots to try out and lots to do. Okay, so this is where the stairs go in, and it was a bit of a struggle, to be honest. Couldn't quite figure out how I wanted them. Did I want them folded? Did I want them to back around themselves? I tried a few things out. It was nice having all this space to like mess with them and to manipulate them, because sometimes I don't have that much space for playing with stairs. But in the end, I really just decided that I wanted some straight up stairs going up from around the side, just straight up to the door. Nice and simple. I also put in a path leading to the front and leading to the stairs that go up the stairs, and I did a little bit of landscaping as well. I nearly ended up going a bit vampires there, forgetting it was Windenburg style and not like whatever the hollow's called. Forgotten Hollow? That's the one. Yeah, so I tried to make it blend in a bit more with the surrounding landscape. A few flowers, a few bits and pieces. It looks really nice. So the next thing I focused on was the interior. I'm a bit haphazard with my interiors. I tend to do whatever grabs me at the time. So I started in the bottom and then I decided to do the bedroom because that was going to be the easiest bit, being just an octagonal room. Pop some wallpaper down, do the floor, thinking about curtains for that big window. I really do not like any of the curtains in any of the Sims packs, actually. I think they're not very well done compared to everything else. So sometimes I really struggle to find things that I like. I thought these had a bit of that sort of old school vibe, so I went with them. But yeah, please EA, give us better curtains. Looking for a dresser here that would fit. Not many of them do. I found that nice one there. Which it was a table, it fit pretty well. The new bookshelf items are going to be invaluable for these tiny builds. Cheeky wee mirror, and I think I managed to get a little end of bed unit in as well. Yeah, I used the Moschino stuff, and I test it out and it all works, yay! Next up, I have a go at a kitchen, which I was dreading because of this tiny little sized bit. But actually it was pretty successful. I tried to overlap some counters, which didn't work. The fridge stopped working. She wouldn't cook anything. So I had to go back to the drawing board on that one a wee bit. But all in all, I actually got it looking pretty nice. So the fridge and the sink worked at those angles. I then decided to put in an island counter just here with a little chair. And she'll chop on the side of it, and she can also use it as seating. So next up, I put in a little wall for the bathroom later, sorted out the door, and went to find a desk and a computer. I really like the new furniture in the new pack, but I really stupidly designed a house that doesn't really suit any of it. So I used this other desk from, I think, City Living, which looks pretty nice. I like the one cube desks. I think they're really fun. Also wanted a little curtain here to sort of emphasize the asymmetricalness. I think I put in a little wall at the side and put a few decorations on the wall. Normally I'd spend a lot longer doing this, but for the sake of the video I just did a couple of bits, and I sorted out that floor as well. So this is where I came a little unglued. It's time to do the bathroom. Now I know a pretty foolproof way of doing a 2x2 bathroom, which I was very happy to use, but I could not for the life of me get everything to fit in the right place because I didn't want the shower to be blocking the window, which is what would have happened if I did my usual layout. So I thought, being a smart cookie, I could probably try and figure out some things that I could do to make the stuff fit. And it didn't work. It was basically a fight the whole time with sinks and toilets and showers in various different configurations, which didn't work. So in the end, I actually had to just swap the door and the desk over, and it worked straight away and perfectly. So my advice there would be, if you can't get it to work in a certain way, move big things around. Don't be pushing and pulling little toilets about until it works. Just suck it up and move the door. And once the house is all built, the last thing you have to do is blend it in with its surroundings. So pick out some trees that look a bit like the ones in the neighborhood, use some grasses, use some flowers. I only do it minimally here because, again, it's just for the video, just to show what you're kind of going for. But you want it to look nice, and you want it not to look too obvious where the lot boundaries are. That's what I think is really important in blending in a lot into a neighborhood. So yeah, I think I do it quite well there. I think I do a nice job. And here she is in all her glory. I'm just putting a few window boxes on here, just a bit of exterior decoration to make it look nice. But I think I did a nice job. It was quite hard to get everything to fit. It was definitely quite challenging. But that's what I like about the tiny builds. I like the challenge of having a fully working house that's also really, really, really small. Please ignore that counter out back that I didn't spot until after the video. It's not there, you didn't see it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I know this is another Sims one, so if you're not a big Sims fan and you've gotten this far, thank you very much for watching. I promise my next few will be absolutely nothing to do with The Sims, because I think I'm about done with it as well for now. But please subscribe to the channel if you can. Leave a comment, I love reading and replying to your comments, and give the video a like as well. So I've been Princess Whoosh, and until next time, I will see you later. Bye!